Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Good morning, Ivory Lady. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Gayla. How is everything up my way? Underwater. That'd be the best way to put it. I mean, good, but underwater. Massive flooding here. It's all around us, all the way around. Any direction you go. But we're good. I mean, it's not. We're not in our area. I mean, the flooding. So you go that way, any which direction, couple miles, and everything's underwater. We're doing fine though. Our housing development it's not on a higher ground, but I mean it's higher than a lot of the lower lying areas. Every single river, because there are three rivers that converge, in our area and then Y off. All of them overran their banks. A pretty massive amount of water. We'll get into it later here in the stream. Give it another minute, and then we'll look at this morning's page 2 going. Time to get boat and paddles out. Yeah, they've evacuated close to 36,000 people. 36,000 people were evacuated from the two other cities that are next to ours. Told to get out because the flooding. I mean, it came on. It came on quick. They predicted something like it was supposed to be like at 13 feet, and a quarter inches, and it got to like 21 feet above. It's 21 feet above its natural embankment. Boats, paddles, they moved people out quick because as they saw the water, rising, coming from, obviously from the Cascades, mountains coming down this way. It flooded a lot. All right, let's get this morning's page 2 news going. And again, thank you everyone for joining me this morning. Now with 6.5% more premeditated murder and less justifiable homicide. This morning's show and crime recap strictly adheres to verified factual evidence. All information presented here from sources from a reputable source, agencies like the FBI, DOJ, and Scotland Yard and Interpol, whenever applicable. We do not engage in conspiracy theory speculations or unverified claims about what may have occurred. If you are looking for that type of content, this program may not be the right fit for you. With that understanding, Have a great day. And good morning, Kathy Gregg. Good morning. No shout outs this week to anyone, but I do, still at the same time give a shout out to everyone who has watched my content this week, and I appreciate it. Bizarre, strange, and even more stories you forgot about or missed. And I'm betting that a lot of people out there who we have one story this week, one case that I think a lot of people really missed. Chad Daybell's cousin has been arrested for murder. How many of you guys knew that Chad Daybell's cousin was arrested for murder this week? How many? Show of hands. Put a one, or if you did know that Chad Daybell's cousin was arrested for murder, or put a two if you didn't. Love to hear from you. One if you did know, two if you didn't. Are you getting the real news? Are you getting the entire story? Tell me in the comments if you heard about this story. I really want to hear from a lot of people, because as I was doing the research on this and I came across this story this past week, almost no one, when it comes to other, YouTube crime channels, had been talking about it at all. Nibley, Utah, according to KSL.com. The Cache County couple has been arrested in connection with the death of their 18-month-old daughter, who investigators say was left alone most days and died due to complications from malnutrition and dehydration. Mitchell Chestnut Murray and Carrie Marie Murray, both 31, were each booked into the Cache County Jail for investigative aggravated murder and aggravated child abuse. Ruby Marie Murray died on March 19th. She weighed approximately 17 pounds at 18 months of age. At the time of her death, her mother told police she found her daughter deceased in her crib, according to the police booking affidavit. As emergency crews were responding to 911, dispatchers tried to get Carrie Marie to perform life-saving efforts, but Carrie informed dispatchers that she was a nurse and she believed the child is beyond help. The affidavit states, when paramedics arrived, they told police that they believed rigor mortis had already set in. Follow-up investigation steps conducted by the Cache County Sheriff's Office identified a severe pattern of neglect leading up to the infant's death. The sheriff's office said, using baby monitors and surveillance cameras, detectives learned that during the last 4 days of Ruby's life, she was only out of the crib for a little more than 6 hours in the days. Yeah. And total time another human being was identified as being present with the child was 49 minutes and 15 seconds, according to the sheriff's office. Investigators also identified just 6 diaper changes in those 96 hours. Deputies further noted that in the affidavit that the child's crib was in a bedroom where there was a space heater running, which was set to 68 degrees Fahrenheit and was noticeably warmer than the rest of the home. The interior of the crib was very dirty, and an old pieces of food underneath the mattress was trash, wrappers, waffle particles, according to the affidavit. Findings of the medical examiner confirmed that the infant died due to complications arising from malnutrition and dehydration, the sheriff's office said. When questioned by detectives, Carrie Murray said the last time she saw her daughter before her death was on March 17th, about 3 a.m., but did not see her on March 18th due to work. Carrie was asked by investigators about Ruby's food and water intake and were informed Ruby was provided a sippy cup in the morning and in the evening. Carrie also informed investigators that Ruby was usually fed waffles for all her meals, and she typically ate them in her crib because they were not table people. I mean, the family never got together around a table and ate any meals. They just gave her waffles in her crib along with a sippy cup of water. Ruby never liked someone to feed her, the affidavit said. Carrie Murray also admitted the baby months, according to the investigators, when asked about the daily routine of their 4-year-old son. Murray allegedly told investigators she was unsure, including when he woke up in the morning. Mom had no idea about when their children, who took care of them, who fed them, when they got up in the day, what they did throughout the day, how long that, poor Ruby was in her crib. She had no idea. Mitchell Murray told police that he worked from home and is on his laptop a lot, both working and playing games on his PC when not working. Mitchell explained what he termed crib days. He explained that crib days were days where Ruby remained in her crib all day while he worked. He claimed he claimed this would occur 1 or 2 days per week, but he claimed he would check in on her 2 or 3 times during the day, the affidavit alleges. This goes out. I want to give a shout out to Nate Easton with East Idaho News and Pat Reevy with KSL News Service, along with Mitch Cromer, who also did a deep dive into this family's, background. The picture on the right is of Mitchell and Carrie, and the other on the right is of poor Ruby Murray, who is now deceased. Good morning, Pippa Dot. Return of questions and comments of the week. First question that was sent to me this past week, past 7 days. In America, is there a connection between the number of homicides and the poor educational system in place? That question was asked by Ruth N. Reply, its simple answer is yes. Longer answer is this isn't just in the United States. This issue is seen worldwide. Some of the factors are not guaranteed a factor, but do add to the likelihood of incarceration. Poor health care, including mental health services. 2, access to pre-K education. 3, poor nutritional services. 4, drug and alcohol abuse in the home. And 5, the educational level of the parents and employment status of the parents do add to a child growing up and becoming incarcerated. Next question came from Margaret L. Do you feel there will ever be any real meaningful decline in mass incarceration in America in the years to come? Sadly, no. When congressional leaders are allowed to invest in for-profit prisons and jails, they have no desire to change the laws, rules, or the system. Money, plus it always been a major talking point to anyone running for political office at all levels. Doesn't matter if it's the mayor or all the way up to your United States senator. I'm tough on crime, they always say, and my opponent isn't. That's always the factor, but nobody fact checks on him. Hey, this guy's been in office, for 29 years. And when every time he runs, he says he's tough on crime. Have we had a reduction in crime? Nobody holds their feet to the fire. If they actually had, and did they hold their promises? Oops, I never got around to it. I was too busy enriching myself, and stuff like that. Before you start to comment about the for-profit jails and prisons are going away, stop and take a look at how many members of the House of Representatives and Congress have stock in companies that supply goods and services to jails and prisons. How many of them are invested in companies that build prisons and jails? They directly profit as stockholders and are, in a few cases, are large owners. They own a large portion of the ownership of these businesses, where millions, if not billions of dollars are put into their pockets along with their friends and family. It happens at all levels. Look at your county seats, your city, and ask yourself, how much do they have invested in Blackwater or some of these other companies that are supplying goods and services to your local jail or your law enforcement? The following are some pictures of the flooding in my area currently. This is an intersection that is just off of the freeway itself. What you don't see in this picture is, obviously, you see 3 cars in the water there, but these cars were in what's called a park and ride, which is off to the left, not in the picture itself, and they have floated out as the river came over its embankment. It washed these cars out of the park and ride. In my area, we have a lot of park and rides. They're parking lots where people park their cars and then they take a van or a shuttle bus to actual work. There's a lot of reason for that besides that it's better for the environment, but there's also certain places where a lot of employment is controlled by the United States government. We have a lot of companies here that we're doing work for the U.S. government, where you can't take your personal vehicle onto the property. So people park their cars at the park and ride, which is just off to the right of this picture. But that is in the middle there. What you don't see also is a roundabout that is completely underwater. This looks like it's a picture of a river. No, there's actually just a creek in the far background where the trees are. The rest of this area is a parking lot and a park. There's where that vast amount of water that looks like it's flowing through there. That's actually a soccer field. It is approximately, I mean, you can barely see, you can't make it out too well, but over to your left of this picture is a sign that has been uprooted and is laying on its side that says that the park is closed after 7 p.m. at night. But there's an entire parking lot you don't see there, but it's now a giant river of water that is rushing through that area. This gives better context to the flood and some of the flooding. So up the middle there that is curving away from you it is the actual river itself. The rest of that area that is underwater are homes and businesses that are completely engulfed. Now, since taking this photo, all the area that is down to the left right there, where you see the road, all of that is underwater right now. For as far as you can see, everything is underwater in this picture, except for the upper left-hand side. This is a house that is next to the golf course that sits up on a hill. It's not down by the water, but this man's house is completely engulfed and surrounded by a lake now. That gives you some kind of context to just how massive the flooding is here. This is the first time in over 30 years that we have seen all 3 rivers overrun their banks. The first time in 30 years. Yeah, we normally get some flooding that occurs from the Snake River and the Yakima, tributes that offshoot from them. We do every year when the snow melts, and especially like low-lying farming communities, farms, but not this massive. Not at all. And it's the Yakima or Yakima, the Natchez River, the Snake River, and the Columbia. All of them have overrun their banks, and it's gonna be an awful long time. before that water recedes and is, and then the cleanup will begin. We're doing good. It's kind of trying to tell people, like, the way that our town is. We have the Cascades on this side. We have the Rocky Mountains on this side, and it just happens to be that the warmer weather and the sheer amount of rain, along with atmospheric conditions, made all of the rivers over flood at the same time. So we live in kind of like a protected area. A lot of times the rain just comes up and over the top of one mountain range to the other, but not this time. It just dumped down in the valley, and this is that where I'm on the east side of the state. The west side, they're seeing massive flooding over there as well. But our house, in this area where we are in our subdivision, we're up over here, and most of the town is lower than where we are. I wouldn't say that we're massively higher than. I mean, we're probably, I'd say 20, 25 feet higher than a lot of the area in this area. So we're safe. It's not going to affect us. I mean, it directly, like flooding of our house. We don't have to have flood insurance, where we live, but it's going to affect everything. And that's the one thing about our internet is it comes through one city through to another. We have a Ziply fiber optic, and if you have Ziply, most of the fiber optic system is buried below ground. They don't run it above ground like a Charter cable or Spectrum or something like that. So, and where it comes into town, they put sandbags around the entire power substation and the Ziply building. They're trying to keep the water away, and it's up to the top of those bags right now. And they got pumps running 24 hours a day to try to keep the water out of it. But we have internet for now. We may not have it tomorrow. We don't know. Increased law enforcement for this area. Yeah, we have just about everything out here. We have, where people are freaked out because right now you're seeing ICE, and border security and stuff like that, roaming around the United States and making arrests. We technically have I think 4 different law enforcement agencies who work here, not counting the FBI and IRS, police, and postal police, none of that stuff. But I'm talking, we have state, local, we have a federal police force, and then we have what's called the Hanford Patrol, which is a whole nut. I mean, those last two are completely separate, and they roll around, in bulletproof vehicles, all day around with, pretty scary if you're new to this area or you didn't expect to see it. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. They were expecting the peak high water mark this morning at I think 3 a.m. was supposed to be the high water mark. I won't know just how bad it got until later on this afternoon. Good morning, Gemma. Gemma. But that's the world we live in. Oh, thank you. I'm happy to see you as well, sweetheart. But did anybody know that? I mean, I saw the ones and twos in the comment section about Chad Daybell's cousin being arrested. There's a lot more to it than what I just read. Law enforcement and CPS, Child Protective Services, had never had any real interaction with them at all. The boy, who is 4 years of age, was from what they're able to gather from him, is he was left alone for hours and hours and hours outside some days by himself at the age of 4. just wandered around doing whatever the hell he wanted it for. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, there is. I mean, I don't know if I would just open up the front door of my house and tell my son just to wander around. It's not the same world we live in today as back when I was a child. Have a good day. Well, you get one of those of your drinks, or maybe some pool noodles so you can float. Thank you, Pippadot, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Pool noodles. Yes, Gemma, I see it. Getting myself some of those inflatable armrests that for kids, that they use in the swimming pools. Some of those. Yeah. Excuse me. Does everybody have plans for Christmas? Well, coming up pretty quick here. Before you know it, it'll be at the end of 2025 as well. Christmas, I'm going to have my immediate family's gathering for Christmas dinner here. I'll be cooking that, but we don't really do a whole lot with gift exchanges. It's more for we do gift exchanges for children, not so much for adults. But gonna coming up pretty quick. Today's the 13th, so in 12 days, 12 days to Christmas. Not a good swimmer. I don't like open water. I have a fear that I'm going to drown. Oh, going to your mom's house, then Boxing Day, hopefully with my sister and twins. Well, that's cool. Just spend it with family. You're scared of water, where you can't see your feet, Pippadot. Having a big Christmas party tomorrow. 34 people tomorrow, Gala. Wow, that is a big Christmas party. Are they all going to your house? 34 people. That'd be cool. For Christmas dinner, I think we're gonna have 15 or 16, and that's it. A lot of people travel, especially for Christmas, to see family. But with everything going on here, flooding wise, I don't know what's going to really transpire. We don't know anybody particularly that is in the flood, in evacuation area. We know a couple people, but I mean they're out and they're safe, but we don't know a lot of people that it's directly affecting. A lot of them live the opposite direction away from where the flooding is. Your sister's twins are about to turn 5 months old on the 24th. Wow. Christmas baby. Well, Christmas Eve baby. Babies, plural, since they're twins. For Christmas though, we don't have people that come from out of state. Thanksgiving they do, you know, especially from a couple states away. I mean, it's not like they're flying in from across the United States. But yeah, for Christmas though, it's more of a local gatherings. I mean, I guess if we went to Oregon or California, we'd be the ones traveling. We got a lot of family in the upper part of California and all over the damn state of Oregon, from Portland all the way to Eugene, Salem area, middle of the state too. But nobody travels that far for Christmas. Have truly given me some more responsibility. There you go. Precious little ones. Then next week is my birthday. My hubby has to work 13 hours on Christmas Day. Oh, I'm sorry, but that's the world we live in, though. Speaking of law enforcement, that reminds me of something, Gayla. Just by chance, happenstance, I ran into an old friend yesterday. The only time I ever see them, or hear from them is online. I almost never see them in person anymore. At least in the last, I'd say 15 years, I haven't seen them, but maybe twice in person. But I keep in contact through apps, group chats, stuff like that. But anyways, I ran into him at the store the other day, and he told me he's retiring from a not my city, but the next city over's police department. He's retiring. And I'm like, you can't be that old that you're retiring yet. He's like, I've been with the police force for 25 years, and I'm retiring early, and I'm going into he's going to be someone who trains other officers, and more of a compliance officer, in that capacity. He will not be an actual officer, anymore with the city, but he's going into a private side of it, training and compliance and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's cool. I go, so is it pay the same? He's like, I don't know. He started him and a couple other officers are starting up their own independent business. They see seen a place that is needed, and that's what they're going to do. And I'm like, that is cool as hell. But it started making me think. I'm like, oh my gosh, 25 years on the force. I'm like, I've known this guy since I was, I don't know, third grade. I've just known him for pretty much most of my life. But it's like, damn, are we getting that old that he's retiring already? I mean, and then I started to think about it. I was like, yeah, most of my friends are in their 60s, late 50s, early 60s. I mean, it just like that. It comes up. People are retiring. Some of them, some. No, I mean, not most of us will continue to work. The rest of our lives. Daughter-in-law's birthday is on June 24th. June 24th would be a Gemini, right? Or is that a Cancer? I'm talking about the astrological. I think that's Gemini, 24th. Most cops retire after early and then continue working after. Yeah. I asked him who's going to be taking over. He didn't work in the capacity of the cold case squad, but he had he was with the communications officer. He was the person that everybody went to, and but for and he made all the press releases for the department itself. And I was like, oh my gosh. I go, so who's taking over cold case? He's like, everybody who works in the cold case squad is still working for the cold case squad. He doesn't know who's going to be the communications officer though, since he's obviously retiring. And I was like, okay. Retirement age there just got increased to 77 for both men and women. Wow. Gayla was 62 when she retired from law enforcement, older than most officers. Well, my father-in-law didn't retire until he took a medical retirement, um, and he was, I want to say, 68, because and I know he was looking forward to, he wanted to get to a certain point in the amount of years, but medically they forced him to retire, but he was still able to do his job. He just couldn't do certain aspects, physical aspects of the job anymore. Mentally, yeah. I mean, now nobody knows where the hell he is ever now, because he just travels the world. Here today, gone tomorrow, kind of thing. But it made me sit back and think about it though. Maybe it's just me in my head. I just never realized, that most, of my friends, and people I've known most of my life are getting to that retirement age. I mean, I was like, really? I mean, are we really that old that we're in our late 50s or early 60s? Think about it. It kind of like shock to the system when you think about it. This is such a huge deal. Him flying in. I haven't seen him in 3 years. He's my favorite person in the world. Oh, that's cool. Cal and Lisa, I'm retiring on 12/31 on New Year's at the end of the year. Well, congratulations, Cal and Lisa, and good morning, and welcome to this morning's page 2 on the joints because of the physical aspects of the job. Yeah. Yeah, my father-in-law, he worked for the sheriff's department. I mean, most of his adult working life, he was with the sheriff's department, and then the last 10 years or so, after he couldn't actually physically, be an active sheriff's officer anymore, he went into parole. He was a parole officer, and that was some scary, scary years, because he worked with what they call the high risk offenders. These are people they know are going to break the law again, and they're going to end up back in jail, prison. They know it. I mean, it's a given. Doesn't matter how many services you give them or how many bites of the apple they have. They're gonna fuck up again. Sorry for my language, but they are. But yeah, there's some scary ass people that he had to deal with for that last 10 years before he completely retired. But now, like I said, nobody knows where they're going to be today. They just got back a couple weeks ago from New Zealand, I think it was, or maybe it was Australia, just somewhere down there. But even to this day, he's he's always looking over his shoulder because he doesn't know, where those people he put back in prison, some of them have gotten back out again, and they hold him directly responsible instead of taking responsibility for the mess that they made themselves. They hold him responsible for, putting them back in. Revolving door. Well, some of these people are some scary, scary individuals. Essential workers usually don't get holidays off. No, most of my wife's side of the family, they're all in the medical field. They don't get holidays off. They you have to work one of three shifts, morning, swing, or graveyard shift. They all do. Frontline workers, fire department, police, paramedics, hospital employees try to get days off around the holidays. It's really hard. It's weird that this day has finally come that you can retire, that you're going to retire. Just do what I've always told all my friends, I'm a firm believer in it. Lisa, and anybody else out there who may be looking at retirement, do something to keep yourself not only physically active but keep your mind active. Do something. Don't just sit back and think you're going to sit on a chair, and watch the waves roll in. If you're going to sit on the beachfront someplace, keep active. Don't care where it is. If you can't sit on the ocean shores and watch the waves roll in, do something physically. Take up taekwondo, or physically. Keep your mind active. Not just with the crafts, or read. Do something. Just don't be sedentary, because everyone that I've seen that is retired and became sedentary did not last very long after retirement. I don't know if there's any, statistics behind that, but I'm sure there is. Just keep active. Keep on moving. Keep on getting on. Ooh, 3 international trips planned for next year. Well, that sounds like fun. I don't know about, for me personally, this is just me though. I don't know if I would want to travel internationally. There's just so much in the United States, in the lower 48, excluding Alaska and Hawaii. The lower 48 states, there's stuff that here that I want to see, and things and adventures that I want to go on that are here. This is before I would want to travel internationally. And the things that are on my list, the things that I would want to do, domestically, I don't think they're ever going to make, a tourist pamphlet about it. But I'm weird though. I mean, I want to go see famous graves. I want to see where certain crimes occurred, what they look like in the photo before, when the crime occurred, and versus today, what's there today. But I'm weird, like I said. Heard any more about Gary Ridgway? Yeah, not much has changed. He's still alive, but they don't think he's going to live much longer. Like maybe into the first part of next year, if he makes it that long. I guess his health wise for Ridgway declined pretty steadily. Um, they were able to help him some, and they've notified the family and the victims. They apparently that really pissed off a lot of people in my video when I pointed out that they notified the family of his, that he had taken a turn for the worse. They're like, well, what about the victims? I'm sorry, I can't get everything into a video for people, but He is still alive, and they notified victims and people who, especially those that they believe he killed, and they haven't found their remains yet. And there are a lot of that Gary will probably take to his grave. He's not going to tell them or make any bedtime, bedside confessions, not bedtime, bedside confessions. No dying decorations. Maybe he will. We can hope that he will, but we can't guarantee that it's going to happen, and they can't force him to do it. So, your brother in law enforcement is too far from retiring. That's cool. I don't. I don't know if I can ever, really retire though from doing this. I mean, I enjoy what I do. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But it's all consuming what I'm doing here. People only see the top little piece of what I'm doing, these live streams, or they see me put out videos. There's a lot of work that goes into making this absolutely awful. Got to really work hard to make it look not professional. But my mind is constantly running, thinking of of different questions and things that I want to learn about, different people who've committed crimes and stuff. You love long road trips, Pippadot? I miss my road trips. I used to take off every June, travel the United States, watching minor league baseball. Yeah, visit friends and family along the way, but that was my goal, and I just let it go. I never had an itinerary. I would just go. I'd pick a town. I'd go watch a baseball game. Maybe I'd follow, to their next home game, next away game, or something. But getting to small town America, that's where that's where everyone should be. You learn so much about how the economy, and everything is really going from small town America. For a lot of these, senators and talking heads in Washington D.C., they don't have any connection to what's really going on out there. They're looking out for their special interests, the people who got them elected. They don't know what's really affecting Farmer Bob or Smith. They don't know what's going on with them. They don't know how the commodities market is destroying them, and they're barely making anything of a go of it. But that's what you find out when you small town America. Just sit and listen. I used to do it all the time. Just sit and listen. Ask questions. Never if you'd be surprised what you can learn. It is. It is a labor of love, Kyle Lisa. Very much so. What I do, but it's like again, it's all consuming. I may not put out a video today, but it's an all consuming, and I'm always constantly learning something new. Keep on moving. Keep on moving on. Brother in law enforcement can build anything, and he actually makes masks and some of those props, scary ones. He builds the sky flying machines too, airplanes. Or that's cool. I met a guy that once worked for the CIA and did something like that. Pippa Dot worked in making disguises, but he left the CIA and went to work for the Internal Revenue Service of all places. Everybody's got a story, and this is YouTube. If you got everybody's got a story, and everybody has a right to tell everybody their story, to chronologize it, but and for forever, you should do it. Oh, most everything I want to see and do is right here in the USA. Pretty much that's my feeling, Pippa Dot. But there are things that I'd like to see internationally. I would love to go back to Ireland, you know, not only to see family, but Scotland as well. I mean, there's places in this world where I've been on vacation before. There are things that I always wanted to do in these locations. I never got a chance to. Either itinerary, something got in the way, weather or whatever. I'd love to go play a round of golf at St. Andrews. Damn near impossible to do, but I mean I would love to do it. Well, have you been to and seen the Ed Ginn place here in Wisconsin? Yeah, I've been to where the farm, what's left of it. I don't know. I think there was a house on it. It's been a while, Pippa. See, in Illinois, I've gone to see some of the famous places where murders took place in Illinois. I have no interest in seeing like the Lizzie Borden house or you know famous murder houses. I mean, Steve Leto wrote a book about the famous murder houses back here on the shelf behind me, but he puts on YouTube buildings, and all these things truly amazing with wood. That's cool, Galen. I love working. I've got an entire shop on the other side of this building that where I have my studio. There's a whole entire shop that's on the other side of it though, and then I have another garage but the one that's in there is my 1971 Ford F100. That's the only thing that's in that entire garage. Well, that and all the parts because I'm restoring that truck. Ground up restoration, frame off, labor of love, but boy, does that cost money to do. And to ask around anybody that has ever done a restoration of a vehicle, you go down a rabbit hole of when it comes to it. It's like, oh, so I can get this done for 15,000. Next thing you know, you're 17, $19,000 into a project that you thought was going to cost you 15. I'll never get my money back out of that truck, but it's just something I've always wanted and I've always wanted to do. IRS, did people criticize you or joke about your job? Retiring from the IRS. Again, when I was 30, I dated a guy that did almost everything you and I do. He was blind and worked at the IRS. Wow, that's cool. I know I've met some of the smartest people in this world. People that they're undervalued, not appreciated. I guess would be the better way to put it. They everybody from lonely guy on the bottom, of the tier at a corporation who's sweeping and mopping the hallways, all the way up to CEOs of a Fortune 500 company. I've met and talked to, and had in-depth conversations with people, from all levels. And you never know what the guy that what their hobbies are in this aspect because we're talking about the woodworking. And I've met people, who have built entire boats from scratch. I mean, what? I would never know how to do that, but they've done it. John Craston, well, that's cool. The guy was blind and did everything else that that others don't do or haven't done. That's cool. You never know. As Purple says, you never know who's going to be standing next to you next. You never know who's going to be knocking at your door. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take off. I'm sorry you just got here, broken justice, but I'm going to take off. I hope everyone has a great day. Don't forget tomorrow night's trivia, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. We are doing trivia on Hollywood murders. These are famous murder cases from Hollywood from 1960s all the way through to 2000s. So if you want to read up on famous murder cases from, Hollywood and then connected to Hollywood, like, Hollywood actor, maybe they weren't murdered in the actual city of Hollywood. They were murdered, in Las Vegas, but they're a Hollywood actress, but they're connected to Hollywood. That's tomorrow night's trivia. I hope that I see everyone tomorrow night for trivia. In the meantime, you all stay safe. Bye.